First of all, you're talking about how, social democracies are the answer while you're literally getting mad at a dude offering a social democratic provision. So clearly you don't want social democracy because nothing that Zohran is pushing for I am going to go with Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani and the Mamdani mania. Zohran Mamdani says, I don't think that we should have billionaires. Full interview. Okay? Mamdani mania has overtaken the world, overtaken the United States of America. But also, the more he reaches new levels of prominence and popularity, the more people get insane about his existence in general. People are mostly just frustrated that he's a brown guy. That's what it is, honestly. All right, but let's start with this.
Welcome back. A stunning political upset this week in the race to lead America's biggest city. 33-year-old Democratic Socialist and New York State Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani is poised to win the Democratic primary for New York City, beating out former Governor Andrew Cuomo. He's now set to head to the general election, but his to be here. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. There is so much to discuss. We have to start with your remarkable victory in the primary for mayor. You're 33 years old. As I just said, you started out at close to 0% in the polls, Mr. Mamdani. You came back to topple one of the biggest names in New York politics, Andrew Cuomo.
This is positive. I'm happy that they are directly asking what contributed to his success instead of, wait, what the hell? What a good start to the day. Wow. Good start to the day. Mini F. Love to see it. Love to experience it. Love the situation. It's just a stutter and we're fine. We're good. Everybody calm down. Okay. Good start to the day, baby. We're gonna test the delay. What number am I holding up? Type this number if you see it. 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's like a 3-second delay. It's not that bad. All right, we're good. There's only like a 3-second delay. It's not the end of the world. All right, let's continue.
Against Andrew Cuomo, a little bit.
Oh, what I was saying while the delay, while the little outage happened. So one of the things that I think is good, personally, is that they're asking Mamdani directly what caused his victory. The reason why I find it frustrating, or the reason why I think this is good, is because overall there's a lot of like people and claiming that the reason why Zohran won is because his policies. It's not because of his policies, but because he actually was on board with the abundance mindset, or the reason why Zohran won is because he had a joyful campaign or because he did social media. No, those are all, especially social media, played a big role in this. But very obviously, a major part of his victory was his policies and his massive turnout machine. Zohran Mamdani had 50,000 door knockers, dude. Donald, you guys met him already. Boringstein is like Zohran's cinematographer. He was you probably saw him while we were live streaming. He was in the background also filming. Representative Rua Roman says, it's not just Zohran's videos that won the primary century American politics. Understand, ladies and gentlemen, understand something. The person who is saying that is quite literally the person that is the person who's saying that is the person who should be saying, no, it was the videos. I'm the kingmaker, okay? Because he's literally responsible for half of the social media. He's responsible for the cool movies that they shot the entire campaign. And he's the one saying, that's not the case. It's not just like the social media or whatever. It unironically is the turnout. It's the turnout machine that they had. And the only reason why the turnout machine was the way it was is because of the policies. Okay? You can't have a turnout machine like that You cannot have a turnout machine like that without the policies that that a ton of people care about. Okay. Hold on. I need to. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Sorry. I'm doing something to fix. I responded with, nah, it's because Zohran did joy and abundance, and also abundance, I think. I'll let the big boys in mainstream media and DC consultant class handle the analysis on this one. Okay. Telling you it's the door knocking. What are you talking about? Like, this is the guy. Okay. Do you understand? This is literally the guy. I'm showing you the guy who did the social media, and the guy who did the social media is saying it's not the social media. It is the incredibly impressive turnout machine. What are you talking about? He's just being nice. No, he's not being nice. Look at his bio. Director. It's just like, it's so crazy that you have people who are like, nah, don't believe it. I don't actually believe you. I think I'm just going to keep going with my own mentality. Kamala Harris had a incredible social media machine. Why didn't it work? Why did it not work? Do you think Kamala Harris didn't do enough social media? She did. It's because Kamala Harris did not have Kamala Harris did not have good enough policies that would push a lot of the quote unquote left, the door knockers, communities such as ours, into mobilizing for her. Okay? That's it.
Bit of both. How do you see it?
I think ultimately it was the focus on the fact that we live in the most expensive city in the United States of America. It's also the wealthiest city and the wealthiest country in the history of the world, and yet 1 in 4 New Yorkers are living in poverty. And
bro does not stop, by the way. Yeah, 18 to 44 was almost 50% of the electorate, by the way. The big question heading into the New York City race was what percentage of the electorate would be 18 to 44? Manhattan Institute had it at 24%. Marist had it at 30%. Emerson had it at 35%. The actual result was 18 to 44-year-olds were 48 to 49% of the electorate. That is the reason why all the polls were wrong, because they didn't weigh the 18 to 44 vote accordingly. 50%. How did that happen? Well, that happens when you got 50,000 door knockers. Okay? I checked this roughly against the voter file. My firm uses some noise created by birth dates and such, but 2024 G based on age right now, 18 to 24, 176,000, 25 to 29, 237,000, 60 to 64, 238,000. Target early data implies more 18 to 29 Democrats voted in the mayoral primary than the 2024 general. More 18 to 29-year-olds that are registered Democratic Party voters voted in the New York City mayoral primary than they voted in the general. The general election for the president. That's why I said Zohran Mamdani was able to actually do the Bernie method successfully, because the Bernie method was supposed to be this tremendous turnout of the youth vote, which is hilarious to say 18 to 44 is the youth vote, by the way, but it is because of how old the voters are in general. But up until like 18 to 44 as a demographic, there's a shit ton of numbers there. There are a shit ton of people there. They just don't vote. They don't vote because they have nothing to vote for. When you got a candidate that actually resembles the electorate, you have a candidate that actually has policies that the electorate wants, and he is an earnest communicator, this is what happens, okay? Biden Defense Squad says, a big part of why I'll support Zohran going forward is because for years I've been like, well, if you guys want to win, why don't you actually go out and vote instead of just tweeting? And now that they've done that, I can't really be like, no, I didn't mean like that. Now, this is just the Biden Defense Squad, right? Like, this is a Biden dead ender. I'm glad that these guys are actually realizing that this is the method. Having said that, a lot of the establishment Democrats will not do this, okay? Understand that they are spending most of their time and most of their effort currently attacking Zohran Mamdani. It is crazy. You have an incredibly unpopular tax bill that is so unpopular that it's unpopular with Republicans being pushed for by a Republican president that is also unpopular. You have mass instability, war all around the globe. None of the things that Trump ran on that he said he was going to fix, he is actually fixed. And instead of the Democrats using that as an opportunity to talk about how austerity sucks and how, these guys are basically stealing your lunch money so that the wealthy can get a fucking tax cut, right? Instead of the Democrats using this unprecedented opportunity to really drive a wedge between the base of Republican Party's base of support and the Republican Party politicians, they're spending a decent amount of time talking about the one fucking guy that actually went out and did the damn thing with popular economic policies and won a goddamn race in a closed Democratic Party primary against a dynastic name like Cuomo. I saw this graphic in an article earlier and thought the same. He got them damn kids to show up. This is what they voted for. Now he has to expand his coalition. I'm not arguing or fighting over the will of the people in a fair election. I also tell them, well, if you want to win, stop choosing terrible candidates. So I can't be like, how come Andrew Cuomo didn't win? I don't understand. So you're happy to throw Jewish New Yorkers under the bus? Win at the cost of vulnerable members of society is the Republican way? Yes, Jewish New Yorkers, the vulnerable members of society that are under attack constantly. Bitch, I'm a Jew who I guarantee you has taken 100 times more anti-Semitism than you have on this app. So shut your mouth and know your place. Oh, that's awesome. Dark woke, baby. Dark woke. Wait, what? Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, was asked if President Trump supports Representative Andy Ogle's call for a denaturalization proceedings for Zohran Mamdani. She said, surely, if the claims are true, it's something that should be investigated. Oh my God. And then right on the dot, dude, look at how fucking botted this stupid ass website is. Yikes, denaturalization is a heavy move. Sounds like she's leaving the door open without fully endorsing it. If markets react, Cameron West might tie it to a political risk, but it feels like more culture war than policy. I swear to God, everyone is a fucking bot on this website. And then you look at Cameron West and it's helping new and experienced investors make better trading decisions through research and market updates.
Thank you, Caroline. Does President Trump want Zohran Mamdani deported?
I haven't heard.
Haha, so funny. Haha. 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 So funny. Let's just literally deport a dude who won a fucking Democratic primary. Like, what are we doing? What is happening right now? What the fuck is going on? Real funny. Haha. Just a little Hitlerian policy making, This is why Democrats need to do everything in their fucking power right now to basically back the boy, okay? To basically back him down to the wire. This is a major contest that is an existential threat, not only to the Democratic Party as well, but also just to America in general. I don't think they understand. Or perhaps they do understand that this is an existential threat to the United States of America, and they simply don't care.
Him say that. I haven't heard him call for that. But certainly he does not want this individual to be elected. I was just speaking to him about it and his radical policies that will completely crush New York City, which is obviously a city that the president holds near and dear to his heart.
There's this Congressman, Andy Ogles. He wants the Attorney General Bondi to explore denaturalization proceedings because he thinks Mamdani could have misrepresented or concealed material support for terrorism based on rap lyrics he wrote in 2017. Does President Trump think this is a worthwhile?
This is the most psychotic angle of attack, dude. This is insanity, okay? Oh my God. They are using denaturalization for everything, okay? They are going to use immigration for everything. You make a fuss, denaturalize, okay? And now that there is no process of injunction, now that there's no power in the courts to actually put a stop to this kind of madness, they can just kind of get away with it until the Supreme Court takes it up. And what if it doesn't go all the way to the Supreme Court at all? This is literally what the Nazis did, okay? Every single thing that they're entertaining here is a test. You need to stay aware. I am telling you right now, every single person should be losing their minds over this. Guy comes in, wants fucking free buses, okay? Wants a rent freeze. Happened before, many times over in New York, okay? And all of a sudden, wants to tax the wealthy a little bit, okay? And all of a sudden, they're like, well, we got to deport him. He's a Muslim terrorist that needs to be deported. That's where we're at right now. Understand how fucking insane this is.
Use of the Attorney General's time.
Well, I'll let the president speak to that. I have not seen those claims, but surely if they are true, it's something that should be investigated.
Thank you, Caroline. Does President Trump want Zohran Mamdani deported?
I haven't heard him.
I know. The gray bars are back. I'm going to fix it. I want to fix everything. Hold on. All right, but let's get back to this.
The rest are seemingly trapped in a state of anxiety. And what we've seen is that this is a city that needs to be affordable for the people who build it every day. Our focus was on exactly that. And by keeping that focus on an economic agenda, we showed New Yorkers that this could be more than just a museum of what once was. It could be a living, breathing testament to possibility.
Well, let me ask you about what I was just discussing with Senator Chris Murphy. The fact that you have leaders Schumer, leaders Hakeem Jeffrey, who wrote very nice things about your victory, said you'd won a very strong campaign, have not endorsed you. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has endorsed you. Do you think the Democratic establishment is afraid of you?
I think that people are catching up to this election. This is an election that went against so much of the analysis that had been told about our party and where we needed to head to. And ultimately, what we're showing is that by putting working people first, by returning to the roots of the Democratic Party, we actually have a path out of this moment where we're facing authoritarianism in Washington, D.C.
Well, let's talk about your policies, your vision for this city. Here are some of the things you've proposed: free buses, rent-stabilized housing, a $30 minimum wage, the creation of city-owned grocery stores. It's a very long list of proposals. So let me ask you, if you were to be elected the next mayor of New York, what would your day one priority be?
The first thing is living up to these promises that I've made, because I've made them because I intend to keep them. And in a city of about 8.5 million people, close to 2.5 million New Yorkers live in rent-stabilized housing. The mayor, through a board called the Rent Guidelines Board, sets whether or not those rents increase or stay the same. The previous mayoral administration froze the rent 3 times. This one, led by Mayor Adams, increased it by 9%.
Yeah. Eric Adams increased the rent when he had every opportunity to freeze it. Okay? Now, what's really interesting about this is that now that rent freeze is a point of contention, Eric Adams, who is the most cynical charlatan of all time, has turned around and talked about potentially has talked about potentially no longer increasing rent as well. He just released I think he just literally released a statement saying we're just going to do the minimum rent increase this time around or something like that. I'm unsure how these politics works. How the fuck did Adams get in office? No, he said we can freeze it. We can't freeze it, but we want it to be as low as increase as possible. What did he say? Do we have the link? Don't send me Curtis Sliwa, okay? Shut the fuck up. Where is it? Where is the... Oh, here it is. Here's the statement from Eric Adams. Why I'm urging the Rent Guidelines Board to adopt the lowest increase possible while protecting the quality of housing for millions of New Yorkers who live in a rent-stabilized home. So he saw the rent freeze conversation take place and decided, you know what? We're just going to do the minimum amount. We're going to still increase it, but just by a minimum amount. One of the largest costs of kitchen table issues kitchen tables each month is rent. Dude, what the fuck is going on, dude? Why can't I delete the fucking deleted messages? I'm so goddamn annoyed. Hold on one second. It's so goddamn annoying. Restart Chatterino. Yeah, my Chatterino bricked, and it's just like showing it's showing the deleted messages, and I don't want to see it, like the moderated messages. Bruh, you suck at streaming. I know. I'm the worst. Where is it? Yeah, why isn't it showing? Why is it still showing it? I clicked on it. No, it's automatic detect streaming software. Tech issues is my favorite segment. Hold on. Maybe if I turn it off and turn it on again, it'll fix it. Hopefully. But probably not. No, it is on disabled. It is. No, it is on streamer mode. It detects OBS. It's on streamer mode. See, it literally says streamer mode when I go on a thumbnail. Yeah, see, like all this spam shit. Wait, let me see. Control H. Will that work? It's a Twitch bug. Yeah, see, it's not deleting it. I don't know why. I'm so fucking annoyed. What is happening? Yeah, no, I did the hide deleted messages gear thing. I did. I don't know why it's not. Oh wait, never mind. All right, I think it should work now. All right, we're good. We should be good now. I think so. I think we should be good. Someone type a slur. Yeah, all the spam is going away. All right, we're good. Okay. All right, let's get to it. Let's get back to it. Okay, where were we?
So the first thing that I would do is start to constitute a board that votes in reflection of reality. And the reality I'm speaking of is that the median household income of those tenants is $60,000 a year. The landlords of those units have seen their profits increase by 12%. It's time for relief for working class New Yorkers.
Okay, well, of course, the big question is how are you going to pay for it? You've proposed increasing taxes on wealthier New Yorkers. The Democratic governor, though, of your state, Kathy Hochul, says she's not going to support increasing taxes in order to get it across the finish line. I want to let you take a listen to a little bit of what she had to say recently and respond on the other side. Here she is.
I'm not raising taxes on people at a time when affordability is the big issue. I'm actually cutting middle class taxes. Even on the wealthy. I don't want to lose any more people to go to Palm Beach. We've lost.
Oh my God, dude. Come on. Have some fucking backbone. Have some goddamn backbone, dude. Of course, she doesn't. She does not.
Enough.
How are you going to raise taxes if you can't get Democrats to support it?
So I think what we've shown over the last 8 months is our ability to take that which is considered a non-starter and make it seem inevitable. We've shown that with this campaign, and ultimately we're...
Once again, here are the takes that you can fucking immediately deploy here. Are you ready for this? This is the only aspect of his policies on his campaign that requires Albany to play ball. Okay? Having said that, however, this has been a tremendously successful ballot measure in a state like Massachusetts, in Boston, okay? It's been spearheaded by Michelle Wu, the mayor of Boston, and this was a ballot measure that passed, a millionaire's tax directly. It was a ballot measure that passed in the state of Massachusetts. So this is a profoundly popular provision in blue states that will yield billions of dollars into the state coffers so that we can fund some of these initiatives that are helpful, that will clean up the streets of New York, that will make New York a more livable place. Okay? Yeah, in Massachusetts, the tax increase for the millionaire's tax was 4%. Zohran wants half of that, 2%. Okay? And this was a profoundly popular policy in Massachusetts. Do you understand? So he can literally point to another comparable state and another comparable city as far as the mobilization behind this policy.
We're seeing that our vision to tax the top 1% of New Yorkers, these are New Yorkers who make $1 million a year or more.
Yeah, you can also point to the fact that there's only like 34,000 of them in New York. We're not talking about, there's like what? 14 million people. What's the population in New York? Let's see. 8.25 million in New York. New York population, greater metro area. The population of New York, oh, what the fuck? Yeah, 23 million. Okay? 23 million in the New York metropolitan area. New York City in particular, 8 million. The number of millionaires that he is talking about is like the number of people that would be affected by this tax rate. Okay, the number of people that would be affected by this tax rate is literally 34,000. 34,000. Look at your own people. What do you mean? Look at your own people. What are you talking about?
And our proposal is to just tax them by 2% additional, is something that has broad support and will continue to increase that support over the next few months and years.
So you think you're going to be able to twist Governor Hochul's arm and get...
No, the New York metropolitan area is obviously 31 counties, which is New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. So it doesn't count. New Jersey and Connecticut won't count. But I'm saying that like New York City is 8 million. And this is out of 8 million people, it is 34,000 people that he's talking about that would be impacted by this tax.
Get her to support raising taxes. I mean, what about the fact that she says she's concerned New Yorkers might leave? They might go to Florida.
I think it's time for a leadership that doesn't twist arms, but rather builds partnership. And I'm looking forward to having that with the governor, because ultimately my policies, my vision, it's driven by an assessment of what's actually happening. The Fiscal Policy Institute found that the top 1% of New Yorkers leave at 1/4 the rate of other income groups. And when they do leave,
the AI response from one out of every Bloomberg has an article on this. The number that they have is like 34,000, I think, that they said would be impacted by this tax. But Bloomberg is saying it's 300,000. But I don't think that's the case. I think this means like people that are working in New York, in the greater metropolitan area. That number is probably around 350,000. But I trust Zohran's numbers more than I do this, because there's a little bit of a confusion here. Oh, $1 million in income. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, because he's talking about $1 million in income. Yeah, people with net worths over $1 million is entirely different than someone who makes $1 million in income a year. Yes. Okay, that makes sense. That's where the confusion is coming from. In any case, I don't understand it. Florida is a red state. If rich people left to Florida, wouldn't rich people make Florida great? 1 million isn't much in New York City, but regardless, it's a lot compared to other. 1 million is a lot, though, to be honest, in Manhattan. $1 million a year? $1 million in income a year is a lot everywhere on the planet. There is not a single place on this entire earth that $1 million a year in income is not a lot. That is insane. You are delusional if you think that that is not there. Like, you can say $100,000 in income a year is like barely making you live a comfortable existence in a big city in this country nowadays. Okay. And even then you can have a little bit of a back and forth here. Like, if you're making $100,000 a year, okay, in a place like New York City, if you have to live in the city, or in a place like Los Angeles, if you have to live in Los Angeles, you're gonna survive, but you're not gonna be super comfortable, okay? Which is crazy to say. I'm talking about $100,000. There is no place on the planet right now where $1 million a year, if you make $1 million a year, you're not comfortable, or you're not immensely wealthy. Yeah. I make $115K and I live in Marin County. It's like $10K above the poverty line in Marin. Marin is near San Francisco, by the way. No, what do you mean Dubai? There is no place on the planet. There is no place on the planet where the yearly household income is $1 million and they're not making ends meet. There's not, like, you guys are talking, you want to know how much $1 million a year in income is? It's so much that when people joke and say, well, what about the limousine costs? Or what about the daycare costs? What about the nanny costs? None of that makes you have a hard time. None of that will cause you financial trouble if you're making $1 million a year. Marin, that's how you say it? My bad. Like, there's not... That's crazy. We're not talking about net worth, chatters. We're talking about fucking income. $1 million a year in income is so much money that it's like hard to spend all of that money. Unless you are like flying fucking private and you just have this very unhealthy addiction to constantly purchasing cars or something. Like, oh, I made $1 million this year. I don't know how to make ends meet. Why? Oh, because I bought a Bugatti Veyron. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be a deep and severe gambler. You have to have serious cocaine and gambling addictions to have a hard time with $1 million a fucking year. These people have listened to so many millionaire YouTubers they think is old news now. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, you're making 20 grand a week, dude. What the fuck? Can you imagine? What kind of expenditures could you have that is $20,000 a week? Like, I fly around fairly frequently for my fucking job, okay? I ain't spending that kind of money. What are you, fucking nuts? 20 grand a week? That's like Aiden Ross is spending that much money a week. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? 20 grand a week is crazy. And I take care of my entire, I am financially supporting my entire family, okay? Y'all are fucking nuts. Anyway, let's continue.
It's actually to other states considered high tax, New Jersey, California. So it's not fiscal policy, it's quality of life. And ultimately, the reason I want to increase these taxes on the top 1%, the most profitable corporations, is to increase quality of life for everyone, including those who are going to be taxed.
Here's how the Washington Post editorial board wrote about your proposals. They say
oh my God, this is so cooked.
Massive minimum wage would depress low-skilled employment. His rent freeze would reduce the housing supply and decrease its quality. Cutting bus fares would leave a transit funding hole that, unless somehow filled, would erode service. Meanwhile, the grocery business operates on thin margins, and his plan for city-run stores would probably lead...
Wow, I can't believe Jeff Bezos' newspaper that fucking endorsed Donald Trump, by the way, at the direction of Jeff Bezos, unironically. Like the post Jeff Bezos Trump endorsement Washington Post's editorial board is against a socialist who is advocating for the most modest, the most doable increase in social safety nets. Color me surprised. Oh boy, am I shocked. Wow, shocked, I tell you. This is the most shocking thing.
To fewer options.
Yeah, I can't believe the e-commerce grocery store magnate wrote in his newspaper that a government competitor to his major profit-seeking sector would be bad. The margins are so thin. 20K a month isn't a lot. You should see the lifestyle of ex-wife. What? Yeah, they endorsed no one. Remember, the board was going to endorse Kamala, but Bezos stopped it. Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's a de facto endorsement of Donald Trump. Jeff Bezos personally stopped the Washington Post editorial board from endorsing Kamala Harris and said, oh, we don't do that. We're not in that business anymore, which is an endorsement of Donald Trump. And he obviously has a personal investment in seeing any kind of initiative of government-owned grocery stores failing, because obviously that would be a tremendous market competitor if implemented successfully all around the fucking country. Jeff Bezos does not want that.
Poor service and shortages. Mr. Mamdani, are your proposals going to hurt the very people you're trying to help?
Not at all. There have been many in editorial board who have had concerns, and what we've shown is that more than 400,000 New Yorkers are excited about this vision. And the reason they're excited about it is one that is in line with the scale of the crisis in this city. I mean, we are talking about our tax base.
Thin fucking margins, bro. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, man. Then I guess the government should own all the grocery stores then. Like, what is the argument here? Oh, dude, our margins are so thin. Yeah, you know who else has really thin margins, dude? Fucking insurance, okay? First of all, thin margins is made up, okay? It's fucking made up. It's made up. The idea that, like, oh, our margins are so thin. Okay, then don't fucking don't use so much of the revenue coming in on a whole deal of ridiculous shit. Whether it be executive pay, like executive payout packages, stock buybacks, things of that nature. Okay. There are so many things that companies do in terms of lobbying expenditures and all this other stuff that they could actually dial back from, but they don't. Right? Bro, I'm being sarcastic. Okay. They don't do that. They want it. You are a cancer to the Democratic Party. Has maximum cancer right now. Okay. This is the chemotherapy to the Democratic Party. And there's a bunch of dumb fuck liberals in here who still try to like hold on to the idea that like, no, we have to do third way neoliberalism. Brother, you are not a fucking Democratic Party consultant. You're not getting paid by them. So why are you running defense for them? I don't understand. You're a voter. You are a citizen. You are not seeing any of the benefits. So why the fuck are you advocating for it? It doesn't make any sense. You're advocating for it like you're fucking Kristen Gillibrand. You're not Kristen Gillibrand. It doesn't make sense. There's never been, like, I understand why you would rise super hard for your local team, right? Maybe you grew up watching the games with your dad. Maybe you own the merch. You think you have like a stake in your team winning, okay? But I don't understand how people apply this to the Democratic Party when you are so clearly not a part of the fucking team, brother. You are not. Now you got some restructuring going on in the Democratic Party, finally, okay? Because a person has been successful, a person with populist messaging has become successful, and there are still naysayers out here in my chat being like, nah, dude, you're a fucking cancer. You're a cancer, dude. You're a cancer to the Democratic Party. Your vision, your goals, cancerous. After Democrats cried and complained about how we've lost touch with the youth, how we've lost touch with all these fucking different demographics, he's actually bad. He's actually what's wrong with the Dems. We can't have this. We can't allow this to happen. It's so crazy to me. I get why DNC consultants would say that, because their job security relies on actively undermining this kind of populist momentum. Yeah, if your football team has been getting its ass kicked for the past 2 decades, you don't get upset when they draft a star quarterback that's going to shake up the team. Them should at least be a proper team fan. Exactly. No, I'm on board with electing progressives. You know that. I'm just saying people have no choice in the stupid system. We need more people like them. Exactly. See, Lib Drive is correct. Happening with a progressive candidate, with a socialist candidate, and goes, no, we need more of this, actually. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it happen in front of my eyes. We were wrong that to have this like weird, restrained attitude and consistent fucking advocacy against these kinds of candidates.
Growing smaller and smaller each day, with New Yorkers leaving to New Jersey, to Pennsylvania, to Connecticut. If we do not meet this moment, we will lose this city. And our proposals are ones that are thought out. They are ones that are also clearly going to be funded by these revenue streams. I'll give you an example. When we talk about grocery stores, I've put forward a proposal for a pilot of one grocery store in each borough. These are 5 grocery stores that would cost $60 million in a city budget of more than $113 billion. And ultimately, the reason that we are so excited by them is we've seen that they've worked in Kansas. We've seen that when a feasibility study was done in Chicago, it was shown to be something that was not only feasible, but pressing and urgent in an urban setting. And finally, it costs less than half of what the city's already set to spend on subsidizing corporate supermarkets without any guarantee of cheaper prices, any guarantee of collective bargaining agreements, or that they accept SNAP or WIC.
Well, you take me to my next question about grocery stores. Some executives, including one of the top grocery stores owners, billionaires, threatening to shut down his supermarket.
Great. That's amazing. That means the city can take over these grocery store chains that I guess are about to fucking close down. Go ahead, make my fucking day. You know what I mean? We'll take it.
In the city, John Catsimatidis, who runs Gristedes grocery chain. You're probably very...
Yeah, the Gristedes grocery chain, as far as I understand, is like already at the brink of insolvency too. What is the name of it? Gristedes Supermarket. Gristedes. Catsimatidis considers buying embattled rival grocery chain. John Catsimatidis is still carrying a torch for rival grocer Fairway Market, the Post has learned. Catsimatidis, who owns Gristedes Supermarket, has had recent informal discussions with Fairway owner GSO Capital Partners about buying the embattled chain, he told the Post. This was in 2017, okay? They wanted to buy another fucking rival grocery chain and expand their operation. And now they're talking about leaving New York City. They are not doing that, okay? They are not fucking doing that. By the way, the embattled rival grocery chain, Fairway Market, has had numerous bankruptcies at this point. They've had numerous bankruptcies since then. 2017 is when they wanted to buy it. In 2020, they also were bankrupt, the rival grocery chain that they're talking about. In the wake of Fairway's bankruptcy, there's been one looming figure making a mess out of grocery stores, private equity. Clean up on aisle 11. Private equity's rolling grocery store bankruptcies. Okay? They bankrupt almost because they can't do business margins, by the way. No, the reason why they get fucking almost bankrupt or on the verge of insolvency is because they are operating with fucking business mindset. They want to make money. There's also tremendous competition from the likes of Amazon. State-run grocery stores would not have the same exact issues because they're not supposed to be run with the profit incentive in mind. We put out feelers that we had interest before they went bankrupt and after. Katsimatidis told the Post, "I've been in the food business for 50 years." Yeah, this is him. John Katsimatidis. Like, the reason why Zohran wants to have potentially grocery state-run grocery stores is quite literally because he's making the argument that we shouldn't be at the mercy of profit seekers, man. That's the whole point. This is the visage of a grocery capitalist, vindicates every 19th century political cartoonist. Yeah. Gristedes owner found liable for unpaid wages. He looks like a fucking cartoon character, dude. Stop the Greek hate. Okay, chill.
Very familiar with him. He said this on election day, quote, "If the city of New York is going socialist, I will definitely close or sell or move or franchise the Gristedes locations." In order to run New York City successfully as mayor, do you not need the support of a billionaire businessman like John Katsimatidis?
I don't know if I need his support specifically.
I actually haven't figured out why they, not to give him more talking points, but the real talking point that they should be fucking slamming is that market competition will eviscerate. State-run grocery stores would create market competition that is impossible to fucking contend with and eviscerate mom and pop shops. That's the real meta. That's what they should be saying, okay? Not to give the fucking billionaire psychopaths more talking points, but that is unironically what they should be saying at a time when there's unprecedented competition coming from monopolists like Amazon, okay? We're already having a hard time dealing with we're already having a hard time keeping these grocery stores open. And then this guy wants to create additional pressure to lower wages and lower prices. But even if we were to be able to carry on with our business, the mom and pop shops will definitely close down. Something like that.
But I want to make clear that my vision for this city is a vision for every single New Yorker, including business leaders across the city. And the reason I say that is that my proposals, even the ones to increase the top corporate tax rate of New York to match that of New Jersey, are ones that would also benefit those business leaders. Because when I have
always given free game, you would be a profitable and effective grifter. I know. Sometimes I like to give game out for free just so people know that I got that dog in me, okay? I could so easily be a fucking right-wing grifter. I could be the best right-wing grifter, okay? Now do the counterpoint to that. The counterpoint to that is that mom and pop shops have already been eviscerated by the fucking monopolists, and this actually drives down prices for the monopolists, and that's precisely why they're using the supposed mom and pop shop that doesn't fucking exist anymore in the state of New York by holding the carcass of mom and pop shops in New York to fucking make a counterpoint when it doesn't even exist due to the monopolist franchises that have overtaken the entire city and create food deserts. And it's at the mercy of venture capital and people's profit incentives. People's food, people's access to food should not be dictated by some faceless, lifeless corporate entity that is simply just trying to make additional money off of purchasing a bunch of these stores and then immediately bankrupting them so that some fucking hedge fund manager can turn profit year over year. The response is this: it's 5 grocery stores in this.
Some of the things I've heard that are part of your platform: a rent freeze.
Yep.
200,000 new affordable homes to build.
There we go.
$30 minimum wage by 2030, free buses, and then city-owned grocery stores. I'm just wondering, because obviously, like, politicians are liars. So,
true.
How can we trust that these things are achievable?
So these are all things that are a question of political will. Because most politicians will try and tell us that anytime you want to stand up for working class people, it's unrealistic. And when we're talking about a rent freeze, Bill de Blasio did that 3 times. There's precedence for that. When we're talking about city-run grocery stores, that pilot program, which would guarantee lower prices for milk, for eggs, for bread, for the staples of day-to-day life, would cost $60 million. The city is currently set to spend more than $140 million to give it to corporate supermarkets. So this would be a fraction of what we're already set to spend. When we're talking about free buses and universal childcare, that is something that we could pay for entirely by raising New York State's corporate tax rate to match the socialist utopia of New Jersey. So that's 7.25% here to 11.5% there. 200,000 affordable homes. We can pay for this by municipal bonding. We can pay for this by using vouchers that landlords are rejecting for New Yorkers that have already been approved. We can pay for this by using vacant city lots that we have. And we're already paying for this in some way because our refusal to build actually affordable housing, like for a family of 4 making $72K a year, for a low-income senior, for one of the 100,000 New Yorkers living in shelters, it is pushing working class people outside of the city. It is pushing them into tax bases of New Jersey and Pennsylvania. We need to stop doing that and actually keep people in the city.
Yeah. And if it fails, then it's $60 million, which is a fucking blip. $60 million gets lost to the nephew of some prominent politician that has a private contract that they got through corruption in the state of New York and in the city of New York with regular fucking frequency. There's already a living, breathing example of this happening in other states anyway. It's simply going to work as intended. You didn't even describe why this would be bad. You did not even describe why this would collapse anything. What you described is poor people will have easier access to food. That's what you described as a bad thing, because that is the outcome of what you're talking about. The outcome of what you're talking about is people in these neighborhoods will be able to get cheaper groceries. Okay? Then the people with money will go elsewhere, be fed up, and stop going and clogging it up for the people who need it. There are major advantages to an enterprise that is not run. There are major advantages to an enterprise that's not run at the behest of the profit motive. Okay? This unironically is a way to try and combat against Walmart. It's a way to try and combat against the massive grocery stores. The difference between a state-run enterprise like this as opposed to Walmart, however, is that Walmart comes in with much cheaper prices. Walmart also will hire a bunch of people. It's more efficient. And then it will suck up the entire demand in the region. And then once it's no longer profitable, as they have done so in West Virginia, for example, they'll fuck off. Do you understand? And then now you have an area where there's no business anymore. Now you've created a fucking food desert. State-run enterprises, on the other hand, have a duty to offer these things, to offer these goods, to offer these commodities to their citizens, and therefore will not go away. If what you're saying was true, then food banks would destroy the grocery stores. So Walmart is better in real competition than the mom and pop shops, I guess? What? Okay. Nordic socialism is realer than you think. When policy commentators talk about Nordic economies, they tend to focus on their comprehensive welfare states, and for good reason. Denmark, Finland, Norway, and Sweden are home to some of the most generous welfare systems in the world. Each has efficient single-payer healthcare system, free college, long parental leave, heavily subsidized childcare, and many other social benefits too numerous to list here. What is this? Public grocery stores. Oh yeah, there was one in Florida. This is also before we factor in that there is a monopoly, state-run monopoly on liquor stores, both I believe in Kansas and other states in the country, but also even in Scandinavian nations as well. Outsized attention they receive can sometimes lead to commentators in the wrong conclusions about peculiars of Pennsylvania too and Utah. Oops. The common thread to these mistaken conclusions aside from the desired labor market, this is not true. In addition to large welfare states and high tax levels, Nordic economies are also home to large public sectors, strong job protections, and labor markets governed by centralized union contracts. Around 1 in 3 workers in Denmark and Norway are employed by the government. Protections against termination by employers are much stronger in Nordic countries. Centrally bargained union contracts establish the work rules and pay scales for the vast majority of Nordic workers. These labor market characteristics are hardly neoliberal or quasi-libertarian, at least if we stick to the typical definitions of those terms. The neoliberal tendency, as exemplified most recently by France's Emmanuel Macron, is to cut public sector jobs, reduce job protections, and push for local rather than centralized labor agreements. For the U.S. labor market to become more like the Nordics, it would have to move in the opposite direction on all those fronts. State ownership, even more interesting than Nordic labor market, is institutions as Nordic state ownership. Collective ownership over capital is the hallmark of that old-school socialism that is supposed to have been entirely discredited. And yet, such public ownership figures prominently in the present day in Norway and Finland, and has had a role in the other two Nordic countries as well, especially in Sweden, where the government embarked upon a now defunct plan to socialize the whole of the Swedish industry into wage earner funds just a few decades ago. The governments in Norway and Finland own financial assets equal to 330% and 130% of each country's respective GDP. In the US, the same figure is just 26%. Much of this money is tied up in diversified wealth funds, which some would object to as not counting as real estate ownership. I disagree with that claim, as that wealth funds are not really state ownership, but the observation that Nordic countries feature high levels of state ownership does not turn upon this quibble. State-owned enterprises, defined as commercial enterprises in which the state has a controlling stake or a large minority stake, are also far more prevalent in Nordic countries. There are, I mean, all of these things, this is from 2017, and one of the biggest problems in Scandinavian countries is that this is also going away. This is the problem with social democracies in general, which is that capital interests inevitably overtake all of these state-owned enterprises and turn them into for-profit privatized entities. All of these countries are privatizing at an alarming rate. And because they're privatizing at an alarming rate, a lot of the previously well-run public institutions, state-owned enterprises, are no longer offering the same quality of service. This is the problem with social democracies, that a Thatcherite move could inevitably move in the direction of gutting these social safety nets that many people took for granted. This obviously leads to people feeling animosity, anxiety, anger, resentment over their material conditions worsening. And when that happens, you have volatility. And that volatility is redirected back to vulnerable populations such as migrants or refugees in these countries. The notion that, well, more brown people started arriving, and that's the reason why my fucking, state-funded healthcare doesn't work as well as it used to. Yes, the goal here is to solve a market inefficiency, food deserts in New York City. If you believe, first of all, you're talking about how, social democracies are the answer, while you're literally fucking getting mad at a dude offering a social democratic provision. So clearly, you don't want social democracy, because nothing that Zohran is pushing for is unheard of. Many of the things that Zohran is pushing for is unironically things that already exist. So it seems to me like you don't want to move in the direction of social democracy, because a lot of the places that you consider to be social democracies that you point to as like successful versions of capitalism are, one, failing due to capitalism right now, due to the interests of capital right now, and they're experiencing that exact same volatility, instability, and anger being redirected back to refugees, migrants, and the like in these places. And you're also simultaneously pointing to a candidate that is trying to move in that direction, and you're stating that that is wrong. So it doesn't seem like you want that to happen. You don't want state intervention while simultaneously saying we want state intervention. So which is it? Do you want state intervention, or is it not like that? All of these social democracies that you could point to will be regarded as like overwhelming failures unless they change their attitude and move back in the direction of socialism. Okay? Finland is literally the happiest country in the world right now. Okay, but you that also had the exact same kind of fucking naysayers at the time. Like, those things did not happen because it was just like purely social democrats. Those things happened because social democrats, especially in Scandinavian countries, were propped up and backed to a certain degree by socialists, democratic socialists, straight up socialists, trade unionists. Okay? It was a collective effort to get these kinds of, and each country is different, but it was a collective effort to get these kinds of initiatives implemented. So it is exactly like a Zohran Mamdani style candidacy that created these initiatives. So much more, by the way, so much more consequential than like a fucking state-run grocery store, mind you. Like, we're talking about the entire nationalization of the extraction industry, okay? You fucking point to Norway. Do you understand that the entirety of the Norwegian extraction industry, from the fucking oil down to the forests, is nationalized? Zohran Mamdani looks like a fucking rugged capitalist in comparison to an already implemented initiative in a state like Norway that you would point to as a very successful state. That's communism, I guess. That's not even socialism, it's communism. That's Maoism. How'd that happen? Our number one source of electricity is state and county-owned hydropower system. Sweet here. Our social democratic governments are also working on every public service making profits and therefore slashing budgets and shitting public transport, hospitals, and elder care. So even social democracy is garbanzo on its citizens, just not as garbanzo as the U.S. Exactly. And the more it gets to U.S. levels of garbanzo, the worse it will get, the more angry people will get. I think we understand capitalism quite well. Well, competition is good in politics, I guess, too. Oh my God. Okay, then don't stand in the way of like the one force in the country that is like pushing the needle in the appropriate direction. That's why you don't see me punching left regardless. And Zohran is not to the left of me anyway. But the real reason why private grocery stores fight back tooth and nail against state-owned enterprises is specifically because state-owned enterprises will actually create a depressive force against the monopolies that dominate the fucking sphere, the oligopoly that so easily can maintain greedflation, increase prices through a series of decisions known as price leadership.
Are fast and free. Minimum wage is literally $30 an hour, and all of their public schools are powered by renewable energy. They have these vibrant green spaces and these resilience hubs that provide all of these resources and safe spaces during emergencies. Oh, and every kid under 5 has access to free universal childcare. You can shop at these city-funded grocery stores that focus on keeping prices low instead of making a profit. So you buy groceries at wholesale prices. Eggs aren't $13 anymore. Okay, last thing, there's a rent freeze across the entire city.
Sounds like a fantasy, right? But New York, I'm talking about us. We have the opportunity to turn that fantasy into a reality for all.
I have a hardcore capitalist cousin in California just nutso about Mamdani over in New York. How do I shut him the fuck up? Anyway, back to Zohran. How do you think empty shelves and overcrowded buses will benefit the popularity of his candidacy? Overcrowded buses and empty shelves. Okay, man, don't worry about it, okay? Then don't fucking worry about it. Overcrowded buses, he said. Dude, the average econ 101 understander turns into this like fucking rabid sociopath the moment that there is like modest social democratic reforms that might be imminent. And it's ironic because then they will, as a defensive mechanism, turn around and point to the fucking modest social democratic reforms that exist in other countries while simultaneously stopping us from getting it. Holy fuck. Yeah, what if the people are too well fed? What if the buses are working? That would be terrible. Let me guess where they heard it. Oh, from fucking New York Post. Zohran Mamdani's lousy negotiating skills killed free New York City bus program, Eric Adams says. Oh, wow. That's crazy. I guess the guy currently running against Zohran Mamdani, who has every reason to fucking lie, took a successful initiative that he offered to Zohran, who fought hard for this initiative as a state assemblyman, is now turning around and being like, oh yeah, the trial ended and we discontinued it, but also it was a failure because of Zohran Mamdani. Well, great. Now that he's mayor, he can actually do it. All right. Yeah. It was a resounding success. Now that Eric Adams is a MAGA enthusiast, he's using the MAGA playbook, openly lying. Zohran Mamdani and I got free buses done despite Adams, who broke the law requiring more bus lanes and blocked the Fordham Road busway. There's your real snake oil salesman. One of the funniest parts about being a leftist or a socialist is constantly advocating to better society and constantly having to deal with people who are like, better things are not possible. How fucking dare you shut the fuck up? And then they unironically will sometimes point to other places where they have these things implemented and will go, see, why can't we be like that? It's like, bro, we can't be like that because you're trying to stop us from being like that, while simultaneously pointing to that over there as a good reason, as a good example, a good alternative. Don't worry, okay? We'll fucking drag you kicking and screaming to more affordable grocery prices and fucking free buses. You'll fucking kick, you'll scream every step of the way. You say, how can this be done? And then you'll get on the fucking free bus. If you even live in New York, you probably don't anyway, so it doesn't even fucking matter to you. But one day you'll take advantage of it. You'll be like, no, I don't want free healthcare. This can never be done. This can never be done. And then you'll go to the hospital and you won't have to fucking pay $6,000 for the ambulance. And you'll be like, oh, I hate this. It's so nutty having to deal with this kind of idiocy. It's funny because, like, this clearly is a demonstrable failure, right? Neoliberalism has been a demonstrable failure. People are experiencing tremendous pressures, so much so that even a country that is the wealthiest nation on the planet, that is the #1 most capitalist country on the fucking planet, can have its finance capital be run by potentially a socialist. Like, that doesn't tell you that people, if that doesn't tell you that people are looking for an alternative vision, I don't know what to tell you. Okay? What the fuck do you mean? It is years and years of people going, no, that alternative is scary, that has led to this unprecedented level of income and wealth inequality in this country. It's a fucking massive failure. Finally, a guy actually does the right thing, runs for office, and is unyielding. People like the policies, and motherfuckers are turning around and going, nah. Yeah, they don't understand that there are always spoilers every step of the way. There's never been a fucking moment in American history where someone just came out and was like, I'm going to do this thing. And then everyone was like, we love it. FDR almost got fucking assassinated, dog. We're still eating off of the New Deal to this day. The fact that we even have an infrastructure is thankfully because of his fucking initiatives. And our infrastructure is crippling, but luckily the skeletons of it still fucking remain because they did that shit. And at the time, business owners wanted to fucking kill him for wanting to do that shit. Okay? It's insane.
Conversations with them, what I also hear is the just how expensive this city is preventing them from attracting and retaining the talent they need to grow their business. And ultimately, I'm looking forward to having those meetings, having those sit downs to make clear why this vision would benefit all.
We went on your website and realized there's a policy proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal.
Oh my God.
That is just a description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus overtaxed. We've seen time and again that this is a property tax system that is inequitable. It's one that actually Eric Adams ran on saying that he would change in the first 100 days. He's since sought to defend it and lost at every juncture in court.
And I understand you're saying we're simply describing the types of neighborhoods that would see these increase in taxes, and yet by invoking race, do you run the risk of potential?
Oh, God, I hate this. Just be like, listen, this has nothing to do with race, okay? It has nothing to do with race. No part of his fucking campaign is actually advocated for, like, racial division or racial tension. It is just the demographic makeup of the areas that are wealthier. That's it. And he did do that. He already said this. He already fucking said that, but it doesn't matter. She's like, nope, don't care. I'm going to fucking keep hammering cynically against you.
Alienating key constituents.
I think I'm just naming things as they are. And
also, white people voted for him. Yo, Zohran, don't back down. Tell her how white people love you, okay? That's right. White men. White men powered his candidacy, okay? Be like, listen, clearly they don't give a fuck because they're not living in the richer and whiter neighborhoods, it seems, okay? That's right. Just talk to them. Tell them how it is. Tell him it's white jihad summer, okay? White boy jihad summer, baby.
And ultimately, the thing that motivates me in this is to create a system of fairness. It is not to work backwards from a racial assessment of neighborhoods or our city. Rather, it's to ensure that we actually have an equal playing field. And right now, what we see with the property tax system is one that is overtaxing a number of New Yorkers and undertaxing.
I don't think he will focus on the white base because he's trying to foray the black vote, I think. I think the black vote is not even the black vote. The black vote that we're talking about is specifically the Democratic Party, the resilient Democratic base that listens to the turnout machine, okay? It's not even the black vote necessarily. It's the boomer vote, okay? It's the older Democrats. It's older black folk in general. And they won't, I don't think they'll vote for anyone but the Democratic ticket. The unks and the aunties will be straight ticket Democrats. They straight ticket Democrat vote, okay? I would be shocked if they would go for Eric Adams or even Andrew Cuomo, because neither is on the Dem line.
Others, and an inability of political will to resolve that.
So no plans to change that language on your website?
The focus here is to actually ensure a fair property tax system, and that the use of that language is just an assessment of the neighborhood.
All right. You are a self-described democratic socialist. Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality. And ultimately, what we need more of is equality across our city and across our state and across our country. And I look forward.
By the way, that's, again, perfect fucking response, and also an incredibly popular position. Let me tell you something, okay? Americans have surf mindset. They think like, oh, one day I'll be a billionaire. One day I'll be a millionaire, they say, right? But even Americans who are like, one day I'll be fucking super rich, even they kind of understand that like this billionaire shit's gotten out of control. This doesn't mean that you're gonna fucking, make a new system where there's no billionaires. It's not gonna happen. Fucking China has billionaires, okay? As a matter of fact, more billionaires than we do. So I think saying yes to that isn't necessarily a bad thing at all, It's not. Nobody likes billionaires. Everybody understands that they contribute to tremendous income and wealth disparity in this country.
Forward to work with everyone, including billionaires, to make a city that is fairer for all of them.
Well, let me ask you about what Donald Trump...
the Lib Whisperer is making the fucking Vox.com article heads and the fucking media, the Mediaite people into socialists at this point. Mamdani on Trump calling him a communist. I've already started to get used to the fact that the president will talk about how I look, how I sound, where I'm from, who I am, ultimately because he wants to distract from what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for the very working people that he ran a campaign to empower that he has since betrayed. Oh, yeah, this was funny. I saw this. Dudes who make $32K a year reading this. Zohran Mamdani, I don't think that we should have billionaires. We need billionaires. Every blue check mark. Every dude who makes $32K a year saw that statement and fell to their knees at Walmart, where they work, actually. Yeah, he's not going to win the ideologically dug-in free market conservatives. He'll win the populist voters who kind of get the vibe that this billionaire shit's a little messed up and something should be done. Yeah, fell to my knees at Cricket Wireless, where I currently work at. But Jesus Christ. But I was going to be a billionaire any day now.
President of the United States has had a lot to say about your campaign. He called you a communist. Because he's the president, I want to give you a chance to respond directly to him. How do you respond? Are you a communist?
No, I am not. And I have already had to start to get used to the fact that the president will talk about how I look, how I sound, where I'm from, who I am, ultimately because he wants to distract from what I'm fighting for. And I'm fighting for the very working people that he ran a campaign to empower that he has since then betrayed. And when we talk about my politics,
why would black people have to vote for him, though? What do you mean have to? We're talking about a very specific demographic of voters. We're talking about older. We're talking about the boomer black vote, okay? The boomer black vote is one of the most reliable Democrat Party voting bloc out there. My speculation, my assumption is that they will go straight ticket them in the general race. And who's the Democratic candidate? Zohran Mamdani.
I call myself a democratic socialist in many ways inspired by the words of Dr. King from decades ago, who said, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism. There has to be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country. And as income inequality has declined nationwide, it has increased in New York City. And ultimately, what we need is a city where every single person can thrive.
All right. Stay right there. We are going to take a quick break. More of our exclusive...
Don't show the TikTok marks as this. Dude. Why would you ever Why would you ever in a fucking million years care about that? Please stop, okay? Anyway, here is the Pod Johns kind of turning heel here, okay? This is impactful because I feel like a lot of the DNC consulting class does take their notes from these guys. They are very much, and they might get mad at me for saying this, but they are very much a part of the establishment. They are the establishment. So let's hear what they have to say.
Donald Trump tried to steal the last election. When he failed, fomented a violent insurrection against the Capitol. Cops were brutally assaulted. They tried to kill members of Congress and his own vice president. He then wins the election, pardons the people who violently assaulted cops. And what we've had, at least at the...
It's wild. Dude, look. No, dude, don't say still on January 6th. It is a wild thing that January 6th was successful. Okay? Come on. You don't have to be a liberal to look at that and maybe not even feel a little bit jealous. Okay? Because it was successful. January 6th was a success. It didn't work to actually stop the process, this otherwise symbolic like vote certification process, and then implement Donald Trump as the actual rightful leader of the throne. It was also very funny, but the reality that he was able to do this and then not withstand significant penalties and then win the election and then turn around and pardon all of these people is pretty fucking impressive. Okay? It's also insane. It's insane that like America broadly looked at that and was like, that is the appetite I have for destroying these institutions. There's a lesson to be learned from that.
The beginning of the administration is some Democrats being like, I'll work with them where it makes sense. I'll vote for some of his nominees where they're good. And then now we're like, oh, but if it's the mayor of New York City who wants to give people free buses and rent control and has said that he doesn't know if he's going to police the term globalize the intifada, even though he doesn't use it, which is admittedly a dumb answer. But for him,
I don't think it's a dumb answer.
We're going to say absolutely not. This is very concerning. I can't do it. But for Donald fucking Trump, be like, well, I'll work with them where I can.
If you are more concerned about a Democratic socialist in City Hall than a fascist in the White House, you're not living in the right times.
At least they bring it back. Yeah, it's wild that Eric Adams won the Democratic primary in 2021 by 0.7%, and the consultant and leadership class were saying things like this about him. Interesting that when Zohran wins by 18%, they're skeptical, almost like there is an ideology underpinning their objective analysis. It's probably foolish to think a New York City mayor will successfully translate into being a national political figure, but I still think Eric Adams would be in my top 5 for who will be the next Democratic presidential nominee after Joe Biden. This was Nate Bronze. How long before Fox News unironically says this? Mamdani set to deny billionaires of their biblical homeland of Manhattan. I mean, they are kind of saying that. They're kind of saying that right now. They're implying it. And it's not just Fox News that's saying that. It's fucking liberals that are saying that too.
We have a conversation with Zohran Mamdani when we come right back. Stay with us. We are back here live in New York with State Assemblyman and the presumptive Democratic nominee for mayor of New York, Zohran Mamdani. Thank you so much for sticking around for more questions. Let's talk about immigration, deportation. Are you committed to keeping New York as a sanctuary city?
Absolutely, because ultimately we've seen that this is a policy that has kept New Yorkers safe for decades. It's a policy that had previously been defended by Democrats and Republicans alike until the fear-mongering of this current mayor. And it's a policy that we've seen ensures that New Yorkers can get out of the shadows and into the full life of the city that they belong to. And it's one that I will be proud to stand up for.
Well, you know, the border czar, Tom Homan, has said that he is planning to deploy ICE agents to New York, worksite enforcement to essentially increase and enhance the number of ICE agents here. If that happens on your watch, how do you plan to handle it?
We have to stand up and fight back, and we haven't seen that from our current mayor, who has instead been working with the Trump administration to assist in their goal of building the single largest deportation force in American history. I mean, we saw ICE agents arrest a migrant at Federal Plaza, and then we saw NYPD officers arresting a pastor who was peacefully observing that arrest. Those days are going to come to an end when I'm the mayor. The NYPD's job is to create public safety in the city, not to assist ICE agents in their mission to attack the very fabric of this city.
I want to talk about the historic nature of your candidacy. If you were to win, you would become the first Muslim mayor of New York City. Along the way, throughout the course of this primary campaign, you have received death threats. You've received all sorts of attacks online. Congressman Andy Ogles called for you to be deported, for example, because you were born in Uganda. He also issued an Islamophobic epithet, which I am not going to repeat here. But what type of toll has this taken on you personally and on your family?
It's been difficult. It's been difficult to have to deal with the regular and repeated smears and slander upon.
By the way, we're going to step away from the Zohran Mamdani analysis in a little bit. Well, I'll ask him about Zohran Mamdani as well, but I'm going to have David Dayen on to talk about the big, beautiful bill, to talk about Zohran's victory, and to talk about the SCOTUS stuff as well. David Dayen of the American Prospect will be on in a little bit so that a lot of your confusion will be cleared up about everything that's happening.
And on the very basis of my faith. And I think what's so sad is that this is but a glimpse into what life is like for many Muslim New Yorkers and many New Yorkers of different faiths who are constantly being told that they don't belong in this city and in this country that they love. And ultimately, what continues to give me hope is that these moments are but small examples, something that goes against what so many New Yorkers actually feel. Because what we know is that this is a city for all of us. And what Tuesday night showed is that what New Yorkers want more than anything is a vision that binds us all together.
I want to ask you about an issue that has divided some New Yorkers in recent weeks. You were recently asked about the term globalize the intifada, if it makes you uncomfortable. In that moment, you did not condemn the phrase. Now, just so folks understand, it's a phrase that many people hear as a call to violence against Jews. There's been a lot of attention on this issue. So I want to give you an opportunity to respond here and now. Do you condemn that phrase?
Okay. Right on that note, I'm calling David Dayen. Okay, hold on. We'll see what he had to say about the answer in a second. David, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, perfect. I can't see you for some reason.
I don't know why. What do I need to do here? Oh, turn on camera.
Boom.
Maybe that helps.
There it is.
There we
Perfect, perfect, perfect.